By the time Scarlett understands that her love for Ashley was misguided, it is too late. Rhett has left her, weary of her inability to see his value and tired of being second to Ashley in her heart. In Gone with the Wind, the love triangle between Scarlett, Ashley, and Melanie is a powerful narrative element that highlights the complexities of love, loyalty, and desire. Scarlett's unrequited love for Ashley drives much of her behavior, leading her to make choices that ultimately bring her pain and regret. Ashley's torn loyalties and inability to adapt to the changing world make him ill-suited for Scarlett, while Melanie's selflessness and strength provide a stark contrast to Scarlett's more self-centered nature. The relationships between these three characters underscore the central themes of the novel: the conflict between illusion and reality, the struggle to adapt to change, and the consequences of misplaced love. Scarlett's obsession with Ashley prevents her from recognizing the true love and partnership that Rhett offers, leaving her to face the consequences of her choices. Ultimately, the love triangle serves as a poignant reminder of the cost of unfulfilled dreams and the importance of seeing people for who they truly are, rather than the illusions we create about them. Scarlett's manipulation and resourcefulness in Gone with the Wind, a fight for survival in a world torn apart by war. In Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara stands as one of literature's most complex and resilient characters, driven by an unyielding will to survive in the face of immense personal and societal devastation. As the American Civil War ravages the South and upends her once privileged life, Scarlett adapts and evolves, using manipulation and resourcefulness to ensure her survival and protect her loved ones. Margaret Mitchell portrays Scarlett not just as a traditional heroine but as a deeply flawed, fiercely determined woman whose ambition and cunning help her navigate a world shattered by war. Manipulation as a survival tool. Scarlett's ability to manipulate others is central to her survival. From the very beginning, she demonstrates a keen understanding of how to use her charm, beauty, and wit to influence those around her. Early in the novel, Scarlett manipulates men, particularly her many suitors, to gain attention and security. Despite her love for Ashley Wilkes, she marries two other men for strategic reasons, first Charles Hamilton, and later Frank Kennedy, both unions motivated not by love but by her desire for financial stability and protection. Scarlett's most notable act of manipulation comes when she convinces Frank Kennedy, her sister's fiancé, to marry her instead. At this point, Tara, her family's plantation, is in jeopardy due to taxes Scarlett cannot afford to pay. Desperate to save her home, she deceives Frank into believing her sister is no longer interested in him and persuades him to marry her instead, securing his money to save Tara. This ruthless act of self-interest illustrates Scarlett's willingness to break societal norms and betray even her own family if it means securing her future. Resourcefulness amidst destruction. As the war destroys the Southern way of life and leaves many impoverished, Scarlett's resourcefulness becomes key to her survival. Unlike many Southern women who cling to the past and lament their losses, Scarlett is practical and adapts quickly to the new realities of a war-torn world. After returning to Tara to find her family in ruin and facing starvation, Scarlett vows, "I'll never be hungry again." This pivotal moment marks a shift in her character, where she abandons the expectations of a Southern belle and embraces a mindset of ruthless determination. Scarlett's resourcefulness is seen in her ability to make tough, pragmatic decisions, often at the expense of her personal relationships and moral values. She takes on the management of Tara herself, working alongside the former slaves and pushing her family to do the same. Scarlett does not rely on the old ways of the South, but instead focuses on how to rebuild, often through unconventional means. This ability to adapt quickly to the new economic landscape and use whatever resources are available to her underscores her resilience. Later, Scarlett demonstrates her entrepreneurial spirit by starting a lumber business in Atlanta. Her business acumen grows as she takes advantage of the post-war South's rebuilding efforts. Her willingness to step into traditionally male roles and make unpopular decisions, such as using prison labor to maximize profits, further showcases her resourcefulness and determination to succeed, regardless of the moral or ethical consequences. A complex character, survival over sentimentality. Scarlett's resourcefulness and manipulation, while admirable in their effectiveness, come at a cost. She frequently sacrifices relationships, loyalty, and her own emotional well-being to achieve her goals. Her obsession with Ashley Wilkes, despite his unsuitability for her, blinds her to the genuine love of Rhett Butler. Throughout the novel, Scarlett's actions alienate many of the people around her. But she remains unapologetic because survival is her priority. Mitchell crafts Scarlett as a character who is not easily likable, but one who is undeniably strong and adaptable. Scarlett's flaws, her manipulativeness, selfishness, and sometimes cold-hearted decisions, are essential to her survival in a world that has been irrevocably altered by war. In the absence of traditional support systems, Scarlett relies on her wit, cunning, and sheer determination to navigate the post-war landscape and build a future for herself and her family. Conclusion: Scarlett O'Hara's journey in Gone with the Wind is a testament to the power of resourcefulness and manipulation as survival tools in times of crisis. Margaret Mitchell portrays her as a woman who refuses to be defeated by the war or by the collapse of her world. Scarlett's ability to adapt, even when it requires abandoning societal expectations and moral conventions, makes her one of the most iconic characters in literature. While her actions may not always be noble, they are born from a fierce determination to survive, making Scarlett a symbol of resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. The growing relationship between Scarlett and Rhett Butler, passion, tension, and misunderstandings in Gone with the Wind. In Gone with the Wind, the relationship between Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler is one of the most dynamic and complex romances in literature. From their first encounter to the final, heartbreaking moments, their relationship is marked by passion, tension, and persistent misunderstandings. Margaret Mitchell weaves a love story that defies traditional romantic tropes, instead offering readers a portrait of two flawed and stubborn characters whose pride, ambition, and conflicting desires prevent them from fully understanding each other. First impressions, attraction and tension. Scarlett and Rhett's relationship begins with a mix of intrigue and antagonism. Scarlett first meets Rhett at the Wilkes barbecue, where she is immediately irritated by his boldness and lack of regard for Southern propriety. Rhett, in turn, is fascinated by Scarlett's fiery personality and her refusal to conform to the demure expectations of a Southern belle. From the start, their relationship is rooted in mutual attraction, but also in a tension driven by their strong personalities and unconventional attitudes. While Rhett quickly realizes that Scarlett is not the typical Southern woman, admiring her ruthlessness and resilience, Scarlett remains focused on her obsession with Ashley Wilkes. She dismisses Rhett as an unsuitable match due to his scandalous reputation and his tendency to mock Southern society. However, despite her disdain, Rhett sees Scarlett for who she truly is, a woman who will do whatever it takes to survive, just as he does. Their early interactions are filled with witty banter, flirtation, and Rhett's teasing challenges to Scarlett's perception of herself and the world, a relationship built on passion and misunderstanding. As the story progresses, the chemistry between Scarlett and Rhett grows. But so does the complexity of their relationship. Rhett, who understands Scarlett better than anyone else, is drawn to her ambition and resourcefulness. He admires her strength and is captivated by her beauty, even as he recognizes her flaws. Rhett's love for Scarlett is real, but he struggles with her obsession with Ashley, which remains a central obstacle in their relationship. Scarlett, on the other hand, cannot fully see or understand Rhett's love for her. Blinded by her fixation on Ashley, she views Rhett as both a useful ally and a frustrating enigma. Although she feels a physical attraction to Rhett and enjoys his attention, she refuses to acknowledge her deeper feelings for him. Scarlett often sees Rhett as someone who can help her achieve her goals, particularly during the hard times after the Civil War when he provides financial support and guidance. Yet, she continues to believe that her true happiness lies with Ashley, despite his clear inability to match her strength and ambition. Their relationship is also marked by intense passion. Rhett and Scarlett share moments of fiery attraction, their personalities clashing and converging in ways that spark both love and conflict. Rhett's pursuit of Scarlett, even after her multiple marriages and rejections, showcases his deep desire to win her affection, but his cynicism and pride often get in the way. Their mutual stubbornness and inability to communicate their true feelings create ongoing tension between them, with each misunderstanding further straining their bond. Marriage, love, control, and unfulfilled desires. When Scarlett and Rhett eventually marry, their relationship becomes even more complicated. Their marriage is one of both passion and power struggles, with each trying to assert control over the other. Rhett showers Scarlett with luxuries and gives her the financial security she craves, but he also makes it clear that he wants her to love him in return. Scarlett, however, remains emotionally distant, still clinging to her idealized love for Ashley. She views her marriage to Rhett as another strategic decision rather than a union based on love. Despite their tumultuous relationship, there are moments of genuine tenderness and connection between them. Rhett dotes on their daughter, Bonnie, and for a brief period, their shared love for her brings them closer. Yet, even in these moments, underlying tensions remain. Scarlett's inability to let go of Ashley, combined with Rhett's growing bitterness over her emotional unavailability, leads to increasing conflict. Rhett's frustrations and Scarlett's stubbornness create a barrier that neither can fully overcome. The ultimate tragedy of their marriage is that neither Scarlett nor Rhett can give the other what they truly need. Rhett wants Scarlett's love and emotional vulnerability, but she is too proud and blinded by her attachment to Ashley to offer it. Scarlett, in turn, desires Rhett's unwavering devotion but cannot recognize that he has already given it to her in his own way. Their failure to understand each other's needs and desires leads to repeated heartbreak and missed opportunities for reconciliation. Rhett's pursuit of Scarlett, even after her multiple marriages and rejections, showcases his deep desire to win her affection, but his cynicism and pride often get in the way. Their mutual stubbornness and inability to communicate their true feelings create ongoing tension between them, with each misunderstanding further straining their bond. Marriage, love, control, and unfulfilled desires. When Scarlett and Rhett eventually marry, their relationship becomes even more complicated. Their marriage is one of both passion and power struggles, with each trying to assert control over the other. Rhett showers Scarlett with luxuries and gives her the financial security she craves, but he also makes it clear that he wants her to love him in return. Scarlett, however, remains emotionally distant, still clinging to her idealized love for Ashley. She views her marriage to Rhett as another strategic decision rather than a union based on love. Despite their tumultuous relationship, there are moments of genuine tenderness and connection between them. Rhett dotes on their daughter, Bonnie, and for a brief period, their shared love for her brings them closer. Yet, even in these moments, underlying tensions remain. Scarlett's inability to let go of Ashley, combined with Rhett's growing bitterness over her emotional unavailability, leads to increasing conflict. Rhett's frustrations and Scarlett's stubbornness create a barrier that neither can fully overcome. The ultimate tragedy of their marriage is that neither Scarlett nor Rhett can give the other what they truly need. Rhett wants Scarlett's love and emotional vulnerability, but she is too proud and blinded by her attachment to Ashley to offer it. Scarlett, in turn, desires Rhett's unwavering devotion but cannot recognize that he has already given it to her in his own way. Their failure to understand each other's needs and desires leads to repeated heartbreak and missed opportunities for reconciliation. The final heartbreak, realization and loss. The final stages of Scarlett and Rhett's relationship are marked by profound loss and regret. After the death of Bonnie, their marriage crumbles under the weight of grief and unresolved tensions. Rhett, emotionally drained and disillusioned, decides to leave Scarlett, realizing that his love for her has brought him nothing but pain. His famous line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," encapsulates the bitter end of their relationship, as Rhett walks away, seemingly indifferent to the devastation he leaves behind. Ironically, it is only after Rhett's departure that Scarlett comes to a painful realization: she has loved Rhett all along. In a moment of clarity, she understands that her obsession with Ashley was misguided and that Rhett was the only man who truly understood and loved her for who she was. This revelation, however, comes too late, as Rhett has already given up on their relationship, exhausted by years of unmet expectations and emotional wounds. Conclusion: the relationship between Scarlett and Rhett in Gone with the Wind is a powerful exploration of love, passion, and misunderstanding. Their romance, filled with tension and emotional complexity, mirrors the broader themes of survival and transformation in the novel. Scarlett and Rhett are two characters who, despite their strong attraction to each other, are ultimately undone by their pride, stubbornness, and inability to communicate their true feelings. Their relationship, marked by both intense passion and profound heartbreak, stands as one of the most iconic and tragic love stories in literary history. Post-war struggles, Scarlett's resilience as she returns to Tara and fights to save her family estate in Gone with the Wind. In Gone with the Wind, one of the most defining moments in Scarlett O'Hara's journey is her return to Tara after the devastation of the Civil War. The post-war struggles she faces at Tara highlight her resilience, determination, and willingness to do whatever it takes to survive and protect her family's legacy. As the once glorious plantation lies in ruins, Scarlett transforms from a pampered Southern belle into a fierce, resourceful leader determined to save her family estate. The return to Tara, a world in ruin. When Scarlett returns to Tara after fleeing the destruction of Atlanta, she is confronted with a harsh new reality. The war has left the South in shambles, and Tara, once a symbol of her family's wealth and stability, is now barely recognizable. The plantation is abandoned, crops have been destroyed, and the O'Hara family is on the brink of starvation. Scarlett's mother has died, her father has lost his sanity, and the slaves who once worked the land have been freed. This turning point in the novel forces Scarlett to shed the illusions of her former life. The antebellum South, with its grand plantations and strict social hierarchies, is gone forever, and Scarlett must adapt to this new, harsh world. Despite the overwhelming loss and despair around her, Scarlett's instinct for survival takes over. She vows never to let herself or her family go hungry again, a powerful declaration of her determination to fight for Tara's survival. Scarlett's unyielding resourcefulness. Scarlett's resilience is most evident in the drastic measures she takes to rebuild Tara and keep her family afloat. Unlike many Southern aristocrats who cling to the past, Scarlett is willing to do whatever is necessary to secure her family's future, even if it means abandoning her former sense of propriety and privilege. She takes charge of the plantation, working in the fields herself and pushing her remaining family members and former slaves to do the same. Scarlett's resourcefulness is also demonstrated in her ability to find creative solutions to Tara's financial problems. When the taxes on the estate become too high to pay, she refuses to accept defeat. Instead, she manipulates and schemes, eventually marrying Frank Kennedy, her sister's fiancé, because of his wealth and ability to help her save Tara. This marriage is not driven by love but by Scarlett's relentless determination to protect her home, showcasing her willingness to sacrifice personal happiness for survival. A reluctant leader and protector, Scarlett's role at Tara also shifts as she becomes the leader and protector of her family. With her father's mental decline and her mother's death, Scarlett takes on the responsibility of caring for her sisters and ensuring the survival of the estate. She is not driven by sentimentality, but by necessity, and her pragmatic approach to leadership often puts her at odds with those around her. She pushes her family members to work hard and refuses to indulge in the nostalgia that paralyzes many of her peers. Scarlett's leadership, however, is not without personal cost. Her single-minded focus on saving Tara leaves little room for emotional connection or vulnerability. She becomes increasingly hardened by the struggles she faces, and her relationships with those around her, including her family and friends, grow strained. Scarlett's pragmatic nature often isolates her, as others find her ruthlessness difficult to understand. Yet, Scarlett's resilience remains unshaken, and she continues to prioritize Tara's survival above all else. The symbolism of Tara, survival and identity. For Scarlett, Tara is more than just a plantation. It symbolizes her identity, her family's legacy, and her will to survive. Throughout the novel, Tara represents Scarlett's connection to her past and her future. Despite the many hardships she endures, Tara remains a constant source of motivation for her, fueling her determination to persevere. Tara's survival also reflects Scarlett's own personal survival. Just as the estate must be rebuilt from the ground up after the war, Scarlett must also rebuild herself, learning to navigate a world that no longer follows the rules she grew up with. Her success in saving Tara is a testament to her resilience and adaptability, even as it forces her to make difficult and morally questionable decisions. Conclusion: Scarlett's relentless will to survive. Scarlett O'Hara's fight to save Tara in the aftermath of the Civil War is one of the most powerful examples of her resilience in Gone with the Wind. Faced with immense loss and destruction, Scarlett refuses to give up, using her intelligence, resourcefulness, and sheer determination to rebuild her family's estate. While her actions may be seen as selfish or ruthless by some, they underscore her relentless will to survive in a world that has been forever changed by war. In saving Tara, Scarlett not only preserves her family's legacy but also secures her own place as one of literature's most indomitable characters. Scarlett as a symbol of Southern survival, willing to do anything to protect Tara in Gone with the Wind. In Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara represents the embodiment of Southern survival in the face of overwhelming adversity. As the world of the antebellum South collapses around her during and after the Civil War, Scarlett is driven by one singular goal: to protect and preserve her family's estate, Tara. Her unwavering determination to survive, even at the cost of her morals and reputation, makes her a powerful symbol of resilience. Scarlett is willing to engage in manipulation, business deals, and even theft, abandoning traditional Southern values to adapt to a new, brutal reality: the Southern belle-turned survivor. At the beginning of the novel, Scarlett is portrayed as the quintessential Southern belle, charming, beautiful, and dependent on the wealth and privilege of her family. However, as the war ravages the South, Scarlett's character transforms. With her home in ruins, her family in dire straits, and the old social order gone, Scarlett sheds the trappings of her former life and becomes a hardened survivor. Unlike many Southern aristocrats who are paralyzed by the loss of their wealth and status, Scarlett refuses to surrender to defeat. Her resilience reflects the broader theme of Southern survival, as she adapts to the harsh post-war reality with relentless pragmatism. Scarlett's shift from a dependent belle to a determined survivor showcases how she embodies the South's struggle to rebuild and endure after the war, manipulation, and strategic marriages. One of the key ways Scarlett ensures her survival and protects Tara is through manipulation, particularly in her relationships with men. Scarlett uses her charm and beauty to influence and control those around her, seeing marriage not as an act of love, but as a strategic tool for survival. Her first marriage to Charles Hamilton is born out of jealousy toward Ashley Wilkes, but later marriages are driven by more pragmatic motives. Scarlett's marriage to Frank Kennedy, her sister's fiancé, is one of her most calculating moves. After discovering that Tara is in danger due to mounting taxes, Scarlett manipulates Frank into marrying her, securing his wealth to save the plantation. This act of deception, while morally questionable, demonstrates Scarlett's willingness to do whatever is necessary to protect Tara, even if it means betraying her own family. Savvy business deals and the abandonment of social norms, Scarlett's resourcefulness extends beyond manipulation to her bold entry into the business world, an unusual path for women of her time. As the South struggles to recover, Scarlett sees opportunity in the rebuilding efforts and, against societal norms, enters the lumber business. Her business acumen grows as she strikes deals, maximizes profits, and exploits every opportunity, regardless of how it reflects on her reputation. Scarlett's use of prison labor in her lumber mill, while criticized by those around her, is another example of her ruthless pragmatism. She prioritizes profit and survival over moral considerations, willing to take controversial steps if they benefit her business and secure her financial stability. Scarlett's ability to navigate the male-dominated world of business, combined with her disregard for traditional female roles, highlights her evolution into a figure of survival in the post-war South. Theft and moral sacrifice. Perhaps the most extreme example of Scarlett's survival instincts is her willingness to resort to theft and moral compromise. When Tara's future is threatened, Scarlett contemplates, and, in some cases, engages in, acts that cross ethical lines. From manipulating Frank Kennedy to stealing lumber contracts, Scarlett shows that she is willing to sacrifice her integrity if it means securing the survival of Tara. Scarlett's famous declaration, "I'll never be hungry again," encapsulates her unbreakable resolve to endure, even if it means abandoning the Southern ideals of honor, gentility, and self-sacrifice. Her journey from sheltered belle to ruthless survivor challenges the romanticized image of the Southern woman and instead presents a portrait of someone who does what is necessary in a world torn apart by war. Scarlett as a symbol of the South's survival. In many ways, Scarlett's willingness to manipulate, deceive, and take extreme measures mirrors the South's own struggle to rebuild and survive after the devastation of the Civil War. Just as Scarlett refuses to accept defeat, the South, too, is forced to abandon its former way of life and adapt to a new reality. Scarlett's resilience and refusal to give up, even in the face of insurmountable odds, make her a powerful symbol of the South's desire to rise from the ashes of destruction. Unlike other characters who cling to the past or mourn the loss of the Old South, Scarlett is forward-looking, driven by the need to secure her future. This makes her both an admirable and controversial figure. While her actions are often morally ambiguous, they underscore her relentless drive to survive, which echoes the broader experience of the South during Reconstruction. Conclusion: a survivor at any cost, Scarlett O'Hara's journey in Gone with the Wind is one of survival at any cost. Her willingness to manipulate, engage in business deals, and even commit acts of theft reflects her single-minded determination to protect Tara and ensure her own survival. As a symbol of Southern survival, Scarlett embodies the South's capacity to endure and rebuild, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. While her methods may be ruthless, they are born out of a world transformed by war, where survival often requires abandoning the old rules and forging a new path. Scarlett's resilience, adaptability, and willingness to do anything to protect Tara make her one of literature's most enduring and iconic characters. Rhett Butler's pragmatic view of life and love, attraction to Scarlett, and the tension between self-interest and genuine affection in Gone with the Wind. Rhett Butler is one of the most compelling and enigmatic characters in Gone with the Wind. His pragmatic view of life and love sets him apart from the traditional Southern aristocrats and reflects his unique perspective as a man who has lived outside the constraints of Southern society. Rhett's attraction to Scarlett O'Hara is central to the novel, but his feelings are complicated by his self-interest, cynicism, and conflicting emotions of genuine love and affection. Throughout the story, Rhett is caught between his desire to protect himself emotionally and his deep, often unrequited love for Scarlett, a pragmatist in a changing world. From his introduction in the novel, Rhett Butler is portrayed as a man who defies the conventions and expectations of Southern society. He is cynical, worldly, and unafraid to voice his disdain for the romanticized ideals of the Old South. Unlike other characters who cling to the past, Rhett embraces the chaos and opportunities brought by the Civil War. His pragmatic nature allows him to thrive during and after the war, as he becomes a successful blockade runner and later a wealthy businessman. Rhett's pragmatism extends to his view of life and love. He has no illusions about the nature of people or relationships, often mocking the sentimental and idealized notions of love that others hold. This perspective allows him to see Scarlett O'Hara for who she truly is: ambitious, self-centered, and determined to survive at any cost. While others may be blinded by Scarlett's charm or beauty, Rhett appreciates her strength and resilience, qualities that mirror his own. His attraction to Scarlett is rooted in this shared pragmatism, as he recognizes in her a kindred spirit who refuses to be constrained by society's rules. Attraction to Scarlett, admiration and desire. Rhett's attraction to Scarlett is complex and multifaceted. From their first meeting, Rhett is captivated by her fiery spirit, boldness, and refusal to conform to the traditional role of a Southern lady. He admires her ruthless determination and her ability to manipulate others to get what she wants. Unlike the other men in Scarlett's life, Rhett is not deceived by her outward charm. He understands her true nature and is drawn to her precisely because of it.